to practice and feel it in your own body. Okay, we'll get into it. So if you've read our website, you're going to know that Sculpt class is an intermediate class. It's going to give gym vibes. So it should be like somewhat of a fusion of sort of compound movements that you would do at the gym, but with a Pilates twist. And it's going to be a little more high intensity. The Sculpt class is designed for intermediate participants and features the aspect of jumping in it. So that's in the description. However, a jump board is not required for incorporating jumps into the session. Clients can anticipate a dynamic workout that includes jumping, lifting, planking, and shaking. The gym atmosphere can embrace principles of progressive overload, and we'll talk about how we can kind of like manipulate the reformer to achieve that, because like at the gym you have like those little 2.5s that you can just like rack on, and that's how you progressively overload there. But here we have the yellow spring. I had to consider the yellow spring sort of like that 2.5, and like if you've never like used the 2.5 at the gym, like your body is going to know the difference. Even if like you can't really tell the difference, when you add that little bit of extra like tension on, your body will adapt and just get stronger. So we want to challenge clients to push themselves to their limits, and this approach is key to building strength. So any questions on that? Are you guys comfortable with all of that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Terrifies me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's ways. Yeah. Yeah. Well, at Central, you guys have the arcs too. So I would even utilize that, because then you're like propped up. But it doesn't have to be horizontal jumping. Like you can do vertical, like get them on the floor and do like
jumping
squats.
jacks.
Yeah,
like
jump squats, that
squats,
kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, step ups and stuff like that. Yeah, or even just holding the TRX and doing those jump squats. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I would say like don't let the fear discourage you from doing it, because there's some clients that absolutely love it and they'll crush it. Yeah.
And we will have jump boards at the Bear Canyon location as well. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, those are coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so overview, this should be an energetic fusion of reformer exercises. So even if you like take people down to the floor for like a little hit circuit and then come back to the reformer and do mermaid, like you peak their heart rate and then you kind of cool it back down and that kind of a thing. So this session incorporates movements such as squatting, hinging, pushing, pulling, similar to those that you would perform at the gym. And there are techniques to adjust the reformer to increase exercise intensity, and we'll kind of go over that, but it's essential to stabilize clients for safety and effectiveness. So for instance, a heavy arm exercise, it's just going to be best performed while seated rather than kneeling. Like when you actually go into the gym, every single machine, you're seated and stable, and then you make it heavy. So you just want to like balance and strength don't mix. So you don't want to be balancing clients on their knees and then try to make it heavy. Like people need to be sitting on their butt before you make things heavy. And we'll go over some of that here too. So addressing the first issue is the class difficulty being too easy. So the primary concern is that the class may be too easy. It can feel monotonous or unchallenging when the pace slows down and excessive rest breaks are included. For instance, consider completing an entire series before taking a rest or a reset. So for example, avoid inserting rest in the middle of a series as it disrupts the momentum. I think sometimes in Pilates, like we see people working really hard and then we're like, oh, let's like pull back a little bit and let's like give them a rest. So for example, complete all of footwork and then do the massage at the end. So I've been noticing kind of more and more that like the massage and the stretches being inserted in the middle of the footwork. And while you do have like the creative freedom to do that, I just don't think Sculpt class is the time or place. Like you want to, exhaust everybody's legs. And then at the end, there's like that nice little treat. Like when you insert it into the middle, there's just too many like stop and starts, and it kind of like pulls people out of the flow. So finishing an entire bridge series before stretching, I would say finish any series before, because sometimes it's like there's too many windshield wipers, and I'm like, it's kind of wasting time. And when we only had like a 50-minute class, like when you're doing hands and straps and then you stop, windshield wiper, and then hands and straps, stop, windshield wiper.
Yeah, it's just not necessary.
Yeah.
And I think there's been quite a few sculpt classes where I've taken where I was like, oh, that could have been a flow or like really beginner. So there should be a very distinct difference between flow and sculpt. Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to utilize the resets as transitions into the next exercise rather than interrupting the flow. So oftentimes, like, I mean, we do this a lot, like after footwork, we do a roll up. And that's like a transitional exercise. Like you're still working the core, you're still working balance and challenging, and you're still moving, but it's going to bring you up to change springs and go into like bridge or whatever else you're doing after that. So questions on that? Okay. And you guys just raise your hand or stop me if you have any like thoughts that come up or anything you want to like insert or anything. So addressing the second challenge is to balance focus. So like I had said on that previous slide, the second issue is that the class is too balance focused. So whenever you're creating classes, you want to consider the 3 elements. You're going to have strength, balance, range of motion. Like those are like the 3 pillars of any class. And I, in the sculpt class especially, would bias strength more than the balance challenges or the range of motion. Like you want to incorporate a little bit of those, but like if there's a pie chart, like 70% should be like strength.
Yeah, I think balance is probably more suited for a tone class, which we'll discuss when we do our next workshop.
Or even like empower.
But if you were going to choose between those two, then err on the side of strength.
Yeah. And I would even say like for every class. I don't know. I'm like very much like a proponent of strength, because like if people are coming here and not going to the gym, we want to help them build muscle, and then that'll just benefit the balance and that'll benefit the range of motion. So when you focus on the strength. The sculpt class promotes gym vibes, which means we need to enforce stabilizing clients and adding weight. So we need to be on our butt or feet on the floor and make it heavy. So avoid making classes overly balanced. For instance, we don't perform deadlifts while balancing on a Bosu ball. Hopefully that gives you, like, you never see a power lifter like balancing on yoga blocks, like going super heavy, like their feet are flat on the floor, they're stable. Where was I? Yep. Okay. So additionally, consider enhancing endurance by keeping clients engaged in sets for longer durations. So time under tension can be your greatest ally, and aiming for up to 20 repetitions of an exercise can effectively stimulate growth. So make the exercise demanding and incorporating stabilization and increasing load while minimizing balance challenges. So some of you are just joining into the Pilates world and everything, you're going to hear this idea of like only 4 reps or like only do this many. But like if you're training for anything, you do like reps and sets and you increase that duration and that kind of thing. So I don't know where that idea like came into play, whether it was like,
I think the classical is like 8 reps. Like there's very specific sets of numbers.
But it just, there's no like benefit to that. Like what's the benefit? Like where's the like science? Like who tested that theory? I mean, I don't know. I guess if it's super heavy,
it's just dancing.
It is dancing. But if you're doing like 1 rep max, like if you go to the gym and you're like maxing out, like doing the heaviest deadlift you can, and you're just doing 1, that makes sense. But if you're in here, like people can go for like 30. Like no lie. Like just keep them going. Yeah. Did you have any comments?
I think like your clients are stronger than they know they are, and then you think they are. So if we give them this idea that like there has to be a certain amount of time that they can do something for because it's going to be so hard, then they're going to believe you. You know what I mean? So just don't even like talk about it. Like just have them keep going and they won't even notice. And then that's good for them. Shauna sent out an article a while ago about how quad strength is specifically related to mortality.
And
so
older
like
clients.
especially old
Yeah.
people, like depending on how strong your quads are, like if they're not strong, then
Like
you
if
have
they
more risk of
fall.
falling and breaking your hip and then going to the hospital and then dying because you have a broken hip and now some infection. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
but even
well,
if
that's
they
what happens.
even if they're strong and then they fall, they'll have more of a chance to like
recover.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they already have that muscle built up. So anyway, just I know we have a lot of like mixed clientele here, which is amazing. And we want the old people to work too.
Like
Yeah,
I would
it's good
in
for them.
any class, I would do footwork on 4 or 5 springs. I would never offer 3 reds, even in a flow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Heck yeah. So, and we're gonna be there one day.
Don't underestimate the older people.
No. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely like load them. Don't be afraid. And our legs are the strongest things. So, okay. So we're going to develop a cluster that maintains the class momentum while requiring minimal equipment changes and body adjustments. So when I'm designing a class, I think of how many times I need to like take the box on and off, or how many spring changes, or the body position we're in. So we want to try to like maximize all of those things to just create an effective flow, and that'll like challenge endurance and really utilize all 50 minutes that clients are in the class. Because if you're constantly changing between springs and boxes, like you're kind of wasting time with all those different transitions.
And then I think it helps to build like the flow state too. Like we almost want them to be able to come in here and turn off their brain.
Yeah.
You know, and the class makes so much sense and it flows so well that they don't even have to think about it. Because I think we live in such like a modern world now where our brain is constantly going 24/7. And you'll start to notice, those of you that are doing your observation hours, there's a lot of people that like can't turn that off. Like they can't close their eyes. They're like looking around, and it's not because they don't know how to do it. It's because like they're like, what's next? Like, what do I have to do? And it's like, I want them to completely turn that off and almost to become like meditative.
That's why people walk out feeling so good.
Yeah. So the smoother your transitions are, then the more they'll start to tap into that.
And especially as this woman, like we do so much. If you're a mother,
yeah,
if
like
you're
laying down in
working, if
footwork,
you're
you're like, well, okay, I gotta do this laundry, and what's the baby gonna eat today, and you know,
grocery shopping. Like we do so much, and it's like in here, someone tells us what to do.
Yeah,
and I'm like, heck yeah,
it's nice.
Tell me what
nice
to do
not
for
have
once.
to think about it.
So encourage clients to train close to failure to promote muscle hypertrophy, and implement techniques such as progressive overload, drop sets, and supersets for optimal results. So it's good to train clients to up to failure. Like they can't do one more. That's when people start to get stronger, especially in here, since we're sort of like limited on how heavy we can go. We want to kind of manipulate that part of it, is like training to failure.
Yeah. Does everyone know what a drop set is? Yeah, and a superset.
We'll do those today.
Yeah,
we'll do a couple of those. Okay, so progressive overload. What does that mean? There's a few different ways that we can do this. Load-based overload. So this is going to be like weight and resistance. So increasing spring tension on the reformer. And this is where we're going to start moving. So I'm going to have you guys get into a plank, like on your elbows facing back toward the mirror. And I want you to put this on a red and a yellow. Because we usually do like just one red, right? Or we do just like one blue. But I want you to put a red and a yellow on just to try it. Just, there's a method to the madness. Yeah, so your toes are going to be on the platform, and I want your elbows down, but hold the outside of the shoulder blocks because it's going to be heavy. So you got to kind of push into those shoulder blocks. And then give me some scooters. So like kind of fast in and out. And you got to kind of power it back out, right? Okay, and then bring it in, and then just for fun, switch it to a red and a blue. Because like the yellow is sort of like that little 2.5, but the blue is going to be like a 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you can do it on a red-blue, right?
So harder to press out with your shoulders, but easier to bend in with your knees. You've got more momentum to come in and close that spring, right?
Yeah. So you guys can rest. Comments, questions on that? Do you like it or hate it? You like it? It's different, right? Like, and it's going to get your heart rate up more, but it makes it heavier. But I mean, I totally get like planks are harder on like a yellow spring because it's a body weight exercise. So you're having to control and support your own body weight, but then we can manipulate the machine in a different way.
So you could even incorporate that into a drop set. Like you could have them start on a red and a blue, then you can have them change to a red and a yellow. Then they can go down to just the yellow and do it. And now that's different, right?
Yeah. So now I want you to put on 2 reds and do a plank with your hands on the foot bar. A plank with the hands on the foot bar. Yep. And then now press out with your shoulders.
Other way.
Yeah. Press out with the shoulders and then back in. Yep. So that's like super heavy, right? Another way to bias the shoulders.
Yeah, so heavier on your shoulders,
and then
but
come
more supportive
in
for your core.
Come in, and then can you guys just like drop your foot bar down like there, and then try it. So with the foot bar here, you're gonna press out less. So you're gonna press out less, yeah. And then like we can continue to like drop the foot bar down too. Like then there's just that one. Did I smash you? No. Yeah. Now this is like a full plank, right? Which one was harder? This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But there's ways to like make it a little harder. You can't hear me?
No, we can't really hear you with all this.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
All right. What's the next one? Okay. So you got to think about these as like body weight exercises, right? So plank and bridge.
Oh, I gave you the bad one, I guess. Sorry.
Hold on. What the heck? Test. Wait, test. Oh, okay. It's my first day. I keyed. Oh, okay. Maybe it's the headset.
Do you want a different one?
Yeah. Maybe it's this thing.
Okay.
Okay, next one is bridge. So like obviously we know bridge on all the springs is like very supportive. Thank you. But I want you to try bridge on just like one red. Oh no, just one blue. How about one blue? Okay. Good? All right. Yeah, I think it was the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you could just like hinge up or articulate up. Y'all know your bridge. You're all instructors. Yeah, how's the blue? It's like super hamstring. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna be bridging on some blues. So that's all hamstring though, right? Like literally all hamstring, but how do we like bias the glutes? Go ahead and add a couple more springs, like 2 more reds on, just to like help stabilize you, and then grab your heavy weights. So you want to think about like hip thrusts at the gym, you know, and then your weights are on your hips, and then I would just hinge up. Like you could just do your hinge up and then down. And then that's going to bias your glute max muscle even more than just the hamstrings. And then if we want to get deeper into that, bring one leg up to tabletop and then do your single leg up and down. Just your hips go up and down with one leg. So you're going to feel your glutes even more, yeah? Or is it still all hamstring? It's all hamstring. Okay. Yeah, this is a hamstring exercise, I would say, for sure. Okay. So you guys can rest, or you can even out if you need to. Good. And then I would even add, so we just added some weights to the body weight exercise. That's going to be your bridge, but then also adding weights to your ab series. So grab your lighter set of weights and then lay down, and we'll just do a couple of ab things like holding weights, because that's going to just make a difference with your abdominal series. Okay. So go ahead and just reach your arms straight up to the ceiling, and even just holding here, bring the legs to table, and then crunch up and stay in your crunch. Good. And then just single leg stretch. So send one leg out straight, bend one knee in, and switch. So you can just simply do this hold of the arms, or what if we add a hug a tree as we do the arms, open, close the arms, and switch the legs. Good. Yep, and then we could even just hold those arms out and continue with the legs. Anytime you're doing holds and then working the arms and then just adding in even more, and you can rest because that's probably good. You just need a few rounds. But basically anything. Reach the arms long by your side with your palms down, and then bring your legs to table, and then crunch up, and then start pumping your arms for your 100. Like that's going to change your 100 a whole bunch. And then you can extend your legs out straight to make it harder with the weights in hand. And then you guys can rest. And then I think that kind of gives you enough idea. Like you could do your double leg stretch, your scissor, any ab exercise,
any kind
just
of
holding
abdominal work with the weights
Yeah.
is definitely going to increase the load, make the challenge more difficult.
Yeah, and then bring kind of like the gym vibes. And then even your roll-ups. How about reach your weights to the ceiling and legs go out over a foot bar? Actually, I lied. Bring your weights down to your chest and then roll up here. Yeah, but try to keep the weights close to your body because that's going to challenge your abdominals, right? Yeah. Woo. And then down slow. Because when your arms are out, you're going to bias your shoulders. But when your arms are pulled in, you're going to really connect into your core more. Yeah, that's good, right? And you can play around with it. Like there's no wrong way.
Yeah. So I did a roll up last week where I made them use the weight. So it was easier for their abdominals to come up. But I said, hold your arms straight, resist against your weights as you go down. Mm-hmm. And then that changes it, right?
Yeah, for the eccentric.
Yes, it's harder for your shoulders, but it's also harder on the way down because the weights are like pushing you down. So you're kind of fighting against them. So that's another way.
Yeah. So holding a heavier dumbbell during standing Pilates exercises or mat work. So I would say, how about everybody steps off to your right? Sorry, Kate, you can take my space in front of me if you want. And grab your heavy weights. And then you guys can just kind of face toward let's face toward Tiana, toward the back room. And then bring your feet like a little wider than hip distance, like shoulder distance. And then bring your weights on your shoulders here. And now you're just going to start to squat down and come back up. And then when you come up, reach your weights to the ceiling. So you're going to have your thruster here. And whenever you can get full body integration, arms overhead, things like that, your heart rate's going to start to elevate just a bit more. And you're using your weights. Yeah. And then you guys can relax. Just a few of those will do the trick. But also standing series on the reformer. So how about we just do like one red and then let's say lighter weights because I would take you out laterally with the arms. And then you're going to stand on your reformer. And I trust you all know how to get in because you've been doing Pilates a long time. So face back toward Tiana. Yeah. Yeah. Good. And then just start pressing out with straight legs and then come back in. And then, yeah, Marissa's in the front. She's going to do a lateral raise. Yeah. So this is how you can incorporate more weights into like the standing series on the reformer as well. Or you could do a front raise. So when you go out, front raise. Good. What else can we do here?
All kinds of shit. You could do
like a serving
bicep curl. Yeah, serve the tray. We can do a hug a moon.
Yeah.
We can do a hug a tree.
Or just overhead press. Yeah, whatever muscles, you're wanting to work.
Punch. I love a little punch.
Yeah.
A little twist and punch.
This one's kind of fun. So just come in real quick. If you can, stay standing. You just like set your weights down here and then add a blue. So this is going to be heavy. And then your foot that's on the carriage, kind of bring it to the edge and then sit down into a squat. And then you're just going to press the carriage out and then in.
Like a little scooter, right?
Yeah. Like a little skier. Yeah. And that's going to hit your like abductors, like the outer hip, but it makes it heavy. And we could do a yellow too. Like you could do a red yellow if that's too much. Yeah, 2-point progressive overload. Okay, you guys can get down carefully. But that just gives you an idea. Like sometimes we do standing series and it is more of a stretch for me because it's just working range of motion. Like you're just adducting. And I'm like, it's really easy. But like we can make it harder by making it a little bit heavier. You can always add the booty band too. I kind of like that option.
Yeah, I think there's all kind of different variations you can do there. But clients like might be like, oh, this is so easy going in and out, right? But then you add that spring, you add that kick out, and now we're targeting different muscles. I love it when it's like a surprise for them, like when people have been coming for a long time and they think like, oh, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then you change it. Like there's just so much unlimited stuff that we can do that really like you should just always be learning. I think like everything's always new and there's so much more to do.
Yeah. So questions on the load base. Yeah.
Recently I did a class where we were doing standing Tiana's foot bar, and I did the sculpt, and I wanted everybody to bring their weights, and nobody felt comfortable with weights.
Right. So
Facing forward.
yes. So that's the thing with the balance on the reformer. Whenever you're facing forward or back, it's going to be really challenging. When you're facing side, it's not so bad.
Do you feel like that's not sculpty?
It's definitely sculpty. I think it depends on the way you deliver that message, whether you make it sound optional or not.
Like,
It's
but
not
everybody
optional.
brought their weights, like I said,
Yeah.
and everybody ended up setting them down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
I think it kind of like you're the guider for the class. So like if they really needed more balance, then they could hold a pole with one hand and keep one weight in the other hand. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
we're still kind of working with that weight.
Or
Yeah.
like racing or stuff,
so I would say this is going to be more balance than strength.
yeah.
Like standing, lunging on the reformer, that's going to be in the balance category. And that's where you don't want to like mix balance and strength. Yeah. So I would say what you could do is just stand on the floor and lunge with the weights, because then you're more stable. Or even just put the box next to the reformer and do sidecar, because then at least, yeah, because this platform for me too, I'm like gripping with my feet, and it's like, yeah, because it's more to balance, like it's in that category. So yeah, I would say, I mean, it's not wrong to do it in sculpt, but just know that it's like the balance aspect. And if you want the strength, just put their feet on the floor.
And
Yeah.
I would say, Rachel, like a
Yeah.
good, like if you really wanted to do that and you wanted them to like get there, but you could do 1 week maybe, and within the same month, 1 week they're just doing it one leg standing, right? And they're doing that lunge. The next week they have the box next to them and they're standing on the box. And then the next week they're standing on the reformer, because now they're trusting themselves. You kind of worked your way up. Yeah. And that's a good way to like have them kind of like approach the challenge with more of a positive attitude.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That, and like that could be your program for the whole month.
Yeah.
And then maybe the last week you're lunging facing back,
Because that's more challenging.
because that switches it up too. Yeah, but have the poles out ready. Yeah, and they could just grab them if they want. Any other questions? Good. Okay. So volume overload, more reps and sets. So performing 20 plus reps of an exercise instead of just like 6 or 10. So I want you guys to put on all the springs and no weights. You could just put those down and then go ahead and lay all the way back. Okay, and then bring your heels on the foot bar. And then bring one leg up to tabletop. And then you could just start to press out and in, single leg press. So you're going to push out and in. I'm going to time this. So I'm going to let you know when we're at 30 seconds. And you're just going to keep going. Single leg. And we're on the heel because I like the single leg press better on the heel. Just because that's closer to the joint and it's like a more stable, stronger place to press off from. So keep going. Maybe a little faster. And usually in our classes, we do 30-second rounds, right? So right now we're at 30 seconds, but we're going to keep going because you can, because your legs are strong. But are we starting to feel the burn a little bit? Starting to feel the fatigue? Don't change legs, just keep going. Okay, you're at like 40 seconds now. This is just like R&D.
R&D, research and development.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, keep going. You're like 10 seconds to 60. How are we feeling? Okay. Not okay? Kate's not okay. All right, that's 60 seconds. Did anybody count? I know there's always like one counter in the room. No, nobody. You just all trusted me.
Well, that was
Okay.
doable, right?
Yeah, 60 seconds. If you want to do the other leg real quick, go for it. I may not time you on that. But now you're a Pilates instructor. We just do one side and then we move on. Okay, so I would say play around with the 60 seconds just a little bit more, especially in these intermediate classes, because I think people are pretty strong and they can go longer.
Yeah.
And then adding extra sets, so doing like 4 sets instead of 3. And I'll show you kind of a creative way to do this, because like we're not in the gym. We're not like, okay, we're doing 3 sets of
10.
Yeah, we're not doing that, but we like do it in sort of a sneaky way. So put on 2 reds and then lay down and put your feet in the straps. And then once you're in there, just do your up, down, normal, parallel. Yeah. Up and down. So there's ways that we can like sequence the exercises to kind of manipulate and like sneak in more sets. So this is part A, right? Oh, Kaylee, go feet and straps. Yes. I know you're doing the hard one, but we could do that too. Okay. Now this is part A, right? Up, down. Now part B, go down and do little froggies. You're just going to bend your knees in, press the legs out. And we would do each of these for like 30 seconds or 45 or however long. And then after you've done your allotted time, you're going to press out, hold, and then start your open, close. So open the legs and close. Good. And then we can start like playing around with like little sequences. So I'm going to have you guys do one up, down, and then one little froggy. So there's like a part A, which is the up, down. And then there's the part B, which is the little froggy. But this is the way to get in more reps of like the same thing that we just did. And then we can get even more creative. So I want you to do one up, down, one little froggy, and then one open, close. So there's A, B, and C. So you do up, down, that's A, little froggy, in and out, that's B, open, close, that's C. And if you have more intermediate people, they'll be able to kind of follow along with like the choreography of this better.
Yeah.
Like a flow class, new people, you're going to confuse them because everything's already overstimulating. But yeah, any questions on that? And you could do that with anything, hands and straps. You can do like one up, down, one tricep press, one up, down, one tricep
bridge,
press.
like anything.
Yeah. Okay, you can take your feet out. I know we don't want to. Any questions on that or comments? No?
I've been on that chair for too long. just ignore me.
I like that. That's my comment.
Yeah, you like it? Okay, good. Yeah, I hope you use these in your classes. So time-based overload, so longer duration, time under tension, we touched on that. So slowing down the tempo to increase time under tension. So 4-count eccentric phase. So let's come back into a squat one more time. And you guys can, not a squat, a plank, sorry, on your reformer facing the mirror, one red or whatever you like to plank on, one blue, and do elbows down. So, we usually time things like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, but press out to your plank and hold it. And we like to say, we'll wait for everyone there. And then we're going to hold for 3, 2, 1, bend into frog or scooter, hold it there. Hold it for 3, 2, 1, press out, hold for 3, 2, 1, bend and hold for 3, 2, 1, and then you can rest. But that's one way, if you're wanting to control all the movements and everything, that you can slow your class down and put in like more holds.
Can I have them do something else real quick?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this?
go for it.
Let's come to our TRX. Kate, you can go. And I taught this the other day, like 2 weeks ago maybe. So grab your
With
TRX.
some holds.
Yeah, we're going to step out away from the wall and then step into kind of a sumo stance. So feet wider than hip distance, slight turn out in your toes. Your elbows should be kind of bent in front of you, but our strap should be pretty tight. And then we're going to squat down for 4, 3, 2, 1, and go up on 1 count fast. And then down, 4, 3, 2, 1, up for 1. Good. Continue that. Let's just keep it going a little bit. Good. We're going to do one more of those. Meet me standing. And then we're going to switch it. So I want you to squat for 1 really fast and then go up. 4, 3, 2, 1. Just do a few more of those. Yeah, cool. I think we got the hang of it, right? But that's a cool way to add in that like eccentric movement. And doing the 2 variations is cool because it like teaches clients like how to feel that, where they should feel it, stuff like that. So, coming to our TRX and doing the same type of concept so that we just have more ideas so that you guys can add those to your classes.
Yeah. So yeah, holding positions, planks, teasers for longer. I don't know if I would hold teaser for longer just because I don't like to do that. Maybe like 5, 8 seconds.
No, I think I made you guys hold it for like 15 seconds.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's probably the max. Because then it's like, come on.
Like, how long am I going to be here?
But like your planks, I think like across the board, everybody's really good about like doing a 30-second plank. But I would challenge you and to challenge your clients to even hold planks for like 60 seconds or 45. They're going to be like, what?
Yeah, and Planksgiving for our November theme that we have every month, like I always tell my classes, like at the end of the month, we're going to hold this for 1:30. Like that's my goal for the whole month of teaching it, is that then they start to hold for longer. And I think like when you give them that goal, they get excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd play with the time under, especially with the planks. I think that that's good. And then doing continuous movements for longer periods without rest, especially with the legs. Like I almost feel like we cut people off too soon with like lunges or footwork or squats or things like that. Like our legs are the strongest part of our body. So I think we can like go heavier and longer, especially in the legs. Questions? Good.
I wanted to add, like when you're doing stuff that involves multiple things, like those thrusters that we did earlier, because it's the squat, but also an overhead press. Sometimes the people that aren't used to those type of movements, it takes them longer to like catch on and get the full thing. So that would be something that would be great to do for like 60 seconds, because 30 seconds comes really fast and they might have only done like 5 reps like fully before they got it. So that would be a great one to increase the time.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay, complexity, coordination, overload. So progressing from a stable surface to an unstable one. Foam roller, we do have that available, which is sometimes fun to pull out. I won't pull it out today, but adding arm and leg choreography to basic core exercises. So we kind of went through that like with your abdominal series, doing your hug a tree, adding weights and things like that, and then combining multiple planes of movement, spinal rotation with extension. Let's just grab your long box real quick and put that on, and put on one red. Just one, since it's like posture month, this is very appropriate. And this is a way that you could add jumping in, actually, that's like not your feet jumping on the foot bar. So lay on your belly, facing the foot bar. We're doing swan. So one red, I said, yeah, that should be good. And you know, we like boobs off, all that good stuff. Okay, now you can press out and in a few times. Just do like your little overhead press. Find your comfortable position.
And is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's no contraindication of laying on your belly, actually, like at all. But it's probably just uncomfortable.
Yeah, I just didn't like it, but
yeah.
cute.
Okay, now come up to swan and hold. Lift your right arm up and rotate, reach back for your foot. So this is extension with rotation. Come back to center, put it down, go the other way. Come up, rotate. So this is how you can incorporate 2 planes in one movement. Okay, and then just go ahead, bend your elbows, come in really quick, and then we're gonna do like, bring your legs together, and then you may even need to bend your knees if you're gonna kick the mirror, but I want you to do some jumps off of the foot bar with your arm. Ooh, maybe a blue. The red brings you in pretty quick. Play around with it. You might have a sweet spot. Yeah. So you can choose, ooh, I think I like the blue better, yeah? And then when you press out, can you like lift Superman? Yeah, press lift. So this would be sculpt because you're jumping, but you can see the foot bar. Yeah, and then you guys can rest. And then, I mean, you can get maybe a single arm.
Yeah.
You can try that. That's, single arm jumps. Like, I think you can get pretty creative with that. That's kind of fun. Yeah, questions on that? Nope. Okay, we're going to keep going. Okay, range of motion overload. So increasing the range of movement. So in hip circles or bridging, or focusing on deeper articulation through the spine and roll-ups or bridge, and using props to help increase the range. So at Central, we do have the arcs, which you get more spinal extension and things like that. And this is actually something that we do sometimes in feet and straps, where you're in like a straddle, and then you do tiny circles out here.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be like end range loading. Like, you know, if you're holding weights out here and you do tiny circles or things like that. Yeah. Or just increasing the range in general.
End of your limb, or
like think of like the splits. Like how far can you open your legs to the split?
Yeah, like your arms are as far apart as they can get, right?
Yeah.
And then we're loading, we're adding weights here. So then that's hard, because if your arms are more like this,
It's
right?
easier.
Then that's easier because you're closer to the midline. So that midline is drawn from your nose down to your belly button through your pelvis, right? The closer you get to the midline, then the easier it is as far as load goes. The further away you go from that, then it increases that load, especially if we have weights. Yeah, so that's in range, away from the midline, probably. Good way to think about it.
In range or end range?
End range. Yeah. So think about your fullest range of motion, or even in like your little froggies. Oftentimes we say like you can pull your knees all the way in toward your shoulders.
Yeah.
That's going to be your full range of motion. If you ever hear in the Pilates land, like stop with your knees at 90 degrees, I just want you to like think critically and ask like, why are we doing that? I don't think there's any benefit, especially if our hips can like pull all the way in like this. This is going to be end range of motion, and it's going to be beneficial for our clients to work in that full range of motion.
Good person to look up on YouTube, knees over toes guy.
Oh, love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've never watched any of his stuff, go watch it. Because a lot of times you'll be in a class, not necessarily here, but if you take a class somewhere else, like they'll say only bring your lunge where your knee is directly over your ankle, it shouldn't be over your toe. Like if we can lunge all the way here, what's wrong with this range of motion? Like that's good, right? Like that's practical. Like maybe I'm holding my baby and I need to get something up off the floor. Like I'd probably do this, you guys, and I should be able to do it. And like we want people to be strong enough where they can come up in this. And it's okay if your knee goes over your toe, because I want my child's grandparent to be able to get her up off the floor. Like these are practical movements, right? And we're not so worried about necessarily the aesthetic all the time, because you can think about how in your life that would be more practical. Anyway, Google him, knees over toes guy.
I love him.
Awesome.
Yeah, follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then he has his mom doing it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay, we'll keep going. Yeah. So mind body challenge. So performing an exercise with eyes closed. Did I just get turned off? That's going to increase the proprioceptive demand. So I want you guys to stand so you can come off to the right. And then just stand facing the middle of the room, and then bring your feet all the way together, and then just rest your arms down by your side. And then close your eyes. And then do you feel like you just like shifted side to side or forward back or anything like that? And yeah, they're just trying to like adapt, right? And then you can open your eyes. But closing your eyes with exercises can just bring that mind body. I would be careful doing that in an active aging class, because even like my dad, if he does that, he will literally fall over. Just he doesn't have like the balance. But that closing your eyes during footwork, my eyes are always closed in footwork, but that can kind of change things up a little bit. Challenging the breath pattern to affect control or challenge focus. This is another one too. I know that breath is such like a big thing in Pilates land, but I would say you can even take longer breaths, because sometimes in footwork, the inhale out, the exhale in, for me is not long enough.
Yeah.
So I'll do like a double inhale.
So sometimes
and
for
a double
my advanced
exhale.
class, I make them close their eyes during footwork, and I say we're going to take longer breaths today. So I want an inhale on a full in and out, and then an exhale on the next in and out.
Yeah.
And it just teaches them to kind of challenge that a little bit. And then usually they find more flow state, and it's more of like a meditative breath. But yeah, just a good thing to play with.
Yeah. And then like, have you guys heard of box breathing, where you like inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4? I think we already kind of do that like with our like butterfly at the end, but we don't call it that. We just like
I do box breathing in my stretch class now,
Yeah.
actually, because I love box breathing.
Do you ever do like alternating nostril breathing?
No, that's a little too much.
There's so many like breathing techniques, but I don't know if any of you meditate or follow like guided meditations, but I think that doing that could also help your Pilates practice, like incorporating the breath work into the practice.
Yeah. And I think it helps turn off that internal noise. Like once you start teaching, those of you that haven't already, there, like I said, there's a lot of those clients that like can't turn that off, and like their eyes are open. And it reminds me of like, my sister is a facialist. So sometimes people will get a facial and they just have their eyes open staring at her the whole time. That's weird, you guys. So it's like the same thing. Like stop looking at me during these stops. Like I want you to look within, you know? So I don't know. I think like helping them find that breath, like we'll kind of turn that off a little bit. I was watching a video the other day from a yoga instructor, and he was talking about how what he considers to be an advanced client is not someone that can do like some crazy inversion pose.
Yes.
It's someone who can turn that off.
I saw the
who can
same.
find that meditative piece, and I love that. I was like, yes, like that's so true. So just, I don't know, just wanted to share that. Yeah.
All right. Third time's a charm. Okay, last little thing here is cueing less and letting the clients self-correct to engage internal awareness. So sometimes we just talk way too much. And like I think that almost like pulls people out of their flow state too. Like when you're like, feel this, notice that. It's like, no, like we almost want to like think less and talk less. So I just give you permission. Like I know it can be like super uncomfortable and awkward, especially when you first start teaching. You're like, you feel like you have to like fill every space of the room and every like second with words. But I would say sometimes just like shut up. Like it's totally fine, and it'll like save your energy too. Especially if you're teaching a block like 4 classes. I like mentally prepare. I'm like, I'm teaching 4 classes. Like I need to like conserve my energy to like get through this whole thing. So I think, yeah, like just permission to leave moments of silence. I think that that's okay. I think if,
Comment on that?
yeah,
That's something I think I learned from your classes. Like I noticed that you talk less.
yeah,
And when I first started teaching, I was very much in my head about everything. But
yeah,
especially
same.
about my doing. And I started to think, okay, well, like I love how something that I learned and that I've experienced the opposite side of.
Mhm.
Sometimes people take too long to explain the setup and
Yes.
the form and everything, and you're sitting there waiting to do the move.
Yeah, it's
for a long
wasting time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think I was like that at first, but I learned to do it. Like,
yeah.
say what the spring is, say what the move is, and go.
Just go,
And then
start
you can
pressing.
And then you can layer it in. Yes.
Yeah.
rather than everybody waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, and you guys are going to have this in like your assistant teaching logs. I think I put it like in every log. Just say what we're doing, get them moving, and then layer in. Like, yeah, because we only have 50 minutes. So it's like you want to have the most efficient and effective time. And like that's why people are coming. Like we're providing a service. So you want to keep people moving through the whole class. Yeah, for sure. So it's okay to just not talk sometimes. But yeah. Okay, density overload. So more work in less time, reducing rest between exercise, adding supersets, 2 exercises back to back with no rest, increasing transition speed between apparatus or movements. So go ahead and get rid of your box. I'll give you a little example because this is literally what we were just talking about. Put on all the springs and then just go ahead and grab your heavy weights and lay down. I'm just going to give you like a little few minute thing to show you like how I'd like the pacing of a sculpt class to go. This was 90 minutes too, by the way. Did everyone see that? Everyone's good on time? We got like 30 more minutes. Unless you have to go, then you can go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you watch the clock. Okay. Okay. So heels are on, parallel bicep curl. Just start to press. You see how I just said it? I just said heels on, parallel, press out, bicep curl. Especially our intermediate people, they're going to know what to do. And we're just going to go quickly through this. Just a few reps. We would probably pulse or something in the middle, but that's your last one. And then I want arches on together, elbow taps. So I didn't even say any setup, but then you can like refine it. You can say arches on, toes, ankles, knees all squeezed in. It's a narrow chest press, elbows by your side, palms face in. And then last one, toes on, Pilates V, skull crusher. Just say what it is. And y'all got there because you've been practicing. And that's our clients are practicing too. So when you teach somebody how to spell cat, C-A-T, you don't want to keep telling them C-A-T, right? Like over and over. It's like they already know how to spell cat. Just tell them we're doing this, right? And then stay there, heels on, parallel, weights on the hips. You're going to go hips up and down. Hips up and down in your bridge. You lift and lower. Good. And then maybe we do a little bit of pulsing at the top, little 2-inch pulse, up an inch, down an inch. Good. And then you're going to lower everything down. And then I would bring right leg to tabletop. Weights are down. You're going to press the carriage out and in. This is our superset. Most of you know I already do this, but notice I didn't make any spring changes, no body position changes, nothing. And then next time you come in, you're going to lift to bridge. So we just went from single leg press, which is going to bias your quads, to single leg hinge. And then you can put the weight on your hip as well if you'd like to advance it. So I just gave that option to progress. Yeah. And then you guys can rest, do one roll up, switch to 2 reds and lay back down. Weights can go down as well. So we just like quit with that transition. Grab your small straps. We're doing hands and straps. You can start your up down once you get in, because I don't need to tell them you bring your legs to tabletop. Like, I don't need to explain all this setup for our intermediate people. You just keep going. And then if you want to progress, you can add a crunch. You can extend the legs. I did give 2 reds, which is kind of heavy. So then your modifier is going to be to go to long straps. But here's another example of that superset. Hands come up to the ceiling, heels are on the foot bar. We're bridging, hinge up, hinge down. So we just went from upper body to lower body, no rest breaks, no equipment changes. Last one, hips down, legs up, tricep press. Now we're into triceps. So you see where I'm going with this. You're like alternating, keeping everybody moving, and you can progress it. And then we could do another round, but I think you kind of get the point. Yeah. Do you have any other supersets? That's just a couple, but you can like do that with anything probably. So you guys can hang up straps. Okay. And then the transition, did you see how quick I was just like 2 reds, lay down, grab your straps? Like, just tell them. Because I think we spend too much time sometimes with like that. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Was this you or me?
That's you.
That's me. Okay.
Right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Creating a cluster of exercises with minimal equipment changes and body positions means designing a sequence of movement that uses the same equipment setting, so same spring setting, strap length, prop, keeping the client in the same or similar body position, and flow efficiently from one exercise to the next with little to no setup. So I think you guys kind of got the idea and the gist of all of that, right? Why this matters: it saves time during class transitions, maintains flow, and keeps the clients in a focused, embodied state. That's our flow state. Reduces the cognitive load, like thinking too much, especially for the beginners. Like, remember your first Pilates class when you came in, it was probably like, what is all of this? The springs and the straps. And yeah, it was like overstimulating, but I probably don't even remember my first Pilates class. So maximizes the work time and minimizes downtime. That's pretty much where we're going. So great for group classes, and where making frequent adjustments for each person isn't practical. So yeah, group classes, I just keep people moving. If someone's really struggling, I'll go over there and help them out. But also, like, we learn from our mistakes. So like, if someone's messing up, like, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, you know, if you like lose your keys, you know, because you put them somewhere weird, like, you're gonna learn from your mistake and like hang them on the hook, right? Or I don't know, that's just one example.
Yeah, I wanted to point out, like, when Shauna was saying, like, you don't need to talk all the time. I think sometimes with beginners, like, the talking too much is overstimulating.
They don't
like,
even
it's
get
too
it.
much, and they don't
Yeah.
know what you're talking about, even, right? Because those concepts, like, haven't even clicked yet. They don't know how to understand them. And I think a lot of times when you're a new instructor, or maybe even a new client, like, Pilates is such like a perfectionist thing. So they want to get everything perfectly. And you'll have a lot of new clients that are like, oh, maybe I should schedule a private, or like, can you like give me more hands-on corrections? Like, I try not to give too much corrections to new people, because they're gonna get it eventually. Like Shauna was saying, they'll learn from their mistakes. So I don't want to like bombard a new client with a bunch of corrections because they're not doing it perfectly, because the more that they come to class, those things are just going to kind of click naturally, and they'll be able to understand those concepts more. Because as you advance in Pilates, things get harder. It doesn't get easier. Right? It gets harder, harder, harder. Like, if you're an advanced client, the class should be crazy. It's like, it's so hard, you're shaking. Like, advanced classes are very hard. They never get easy. So
You just get stronger.
yeah, you just get stronger, and you understand it more. So the more cues that you're able to understand, things will get harder. Like, your footwork could be very challenging and it's just your regular footwork, but because you're able to understand those cues, Yeah. I just think don't like talk to them so much that they're like, I never want to come back to this place. Like I thought I knew what a bicep curl was, but that girl told me I didn't, you know? Yeah.
So transitions from one
Oh,
body
this is it.
position to, is this yours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we'll kind of get to the next slide in a second, but I wanted to add that using like a strength training type of move can be a transition into your next body position. So like if we're in footwork, and I do this a lot. So you're in footwork and you probably did your roll-ups, which we do a lot, right? And probably at the end of footwork, I would say set your weights on the right side of your reformer. So they're already over there, right? Because I know we want to go there. We did our roll-ups, and then I would say sit on the right side of your reformer, grab your weights, stand up, and now we're doing some deadlifts. And this is our transition into the next piece, right? Because now we're standing, it's a different body position. And then when they're done with that, I might say, put one weight on the floor, come onto all fours on your carriage. Now we're facing the mirror, and we're gonna go for a row, like on the side of your reformer. And then maybe you add in like a single leg press as they do the row or something. But it's a good way to like do a transition into the next thing. So I do that a lot in my sculpt classes, and I use like those compound movements in order to transition. Does everyone know what I mean by class transitions, like body transitions? Yeah. When you're building classes, a good way to think about those transitions is like, how can you move around the reformer in a 90-degree angle? Like maybe your whole class, you're started facing this way, your feet are on the foot bar, and then the next thing, they're facing this way. And then the next thing, they're back facing the foot bar. And then the next thing, they're facing this way. And then we end up facing the mirror, right? And then now your class is over, and you stayed on one spring. So that's a really good way to design your class. And you can kind of have the weights follow them around and do those different strength training concepts as those transitions the whole time. Yeah. So we're going to practice it. And let's see, what did I write? So after finishing a supine series, have clients step off the reformer onto one side, perform weighted rack squats, which is kind of what I did, but I did deadlifts. You guys did those rack squats when you were kind of doing your thruster. So you got their heart rate up, it loads the glutes and the quads, it gets their core warmed up for maybe the balancing, which is what you have next. So their heart rate kind of got up. Shauna talked about this. Then we'll kind of do something where maybe the heart rate goes down a little bit, and then I want to get the heart rate elevated again, and then it's going to go down again. And that's kind of what we want with sculpt. Like I want you huffing and puffing, and then we'll kind of calm down while we're still doing something, and then we're huffing and puffing again, and then we'll calm down a little bit. And that's how it should be kind of the whole time. Yeah?
And you can't get your heart rate up laying down.
Not really, no.
Not really. I've heard people say you can, but I don't think so.
Not,
not in Pilates.
And let's see. And that's a good way to incorporate progressive overload too. Because let's say like it's leg month, like last month, and I want my whole class to be more quad focused. So footwork is quad focused, right? And then those rack squats would be quad focused. And then if I had them here, I'll have you come on for a second. If I had them on all fours like this, right? And then maybe we're pressing off here. Yes, that's definitely glutes, right? But your quad is still working. And then I can have them come right here. And then maybe I want them to do like kind of a split squat, and that's still going to be quad focused. Like that's a way to incorporate, like I just did a strength training thing because then I want them to step off and grab those weights, and we're back in those rack squats. So the whole class is quad focused, but different moves. So it's not boring.
Yeah.
And that's progressive overload because your quads are going to die at the end of that.
Well, yeah, use the transitions as the compound movements and less stretching.
Right. So that's my next slide.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
let's do
Perfect.
that. We're going to go over compound exercises. So this is where like having more strength training background or having done those things is really going to come in handy when you're teaching a sculpt class. So again, if these are things you're not familiar with, maybe sign up for a class somewhere, just your free class, one free class. We're going to grab our heavy weights, and I'm going to just kind of stand up, and we're going to go over each of these. Okay. And these might seem like redundant, like you guys are like, of course we know what a squat is, but we're just going to go over them. Okay. So we're going to rack our weights, and I actually want you to set your weights on your shoulders and just kind of hold the head of your weight. So right away, you're going to feel some pressure on those shoulders. That's kind of like you've got a barbell on you, right? And we're just going to bring our feet to about hip distance, and we're going to squat down and then come up. Good. So that's a squat. We've loaded it because we've got our weights, and I want to talk about form for a squat. So when you squat down, you want to kind of stick your booty out, but not so much that it's like this, because now that's more of a deadlift, right? And you want a slight tuck in your chin. So instead of looking up, sometimes I take a class and someone says, look up at the ceiling. No, we're not doing that when we do a squat. You should have a slight tuck in your chin. And as you come up, I want you to push your heels into the earth, like you're trying to push the earth away from you. So I want you to start to do that. And maybe that feels slightly different. right? Do we feel the difference there? And that should kind of press into your heels more. That should connect with your glute more. And that helps with balance. Because a lot of our older clients, when they're doing a squat, they kind of teeter-totter. And then something that I see a lot with older people is when they do a squat, their chest like folds forward and it turns into this thing. So something that I like as a cue with a squat is I tell people, imagine you're wearing a necklace, and maybe they are, and that would be helpful. When you're doing a squat, your necklace should stay flat on your chest. It should never dangle down to the floor. So that's a good cue to give. I think that visual is helpful. So that's a squat. Deadlift, you can grab those weights. We still want to be about hip distance. We're just going to do an RDL variation. That's a Romanian deadlift. So your palms over hands are going to kind of frame your legs. And I want to hinge at the hips. Stick your booty out and just kind of slight bend in your knees. Your weights will travel about to your mid shin. And then through those heels again, you're going to push the earth away from you. Stand up tall. Good. Yeah. So it's not a squat anymore. It's a hinge at the hips. So you want to stick your booty out. Feel that down the hamstring. That should travel down your leg as you bend over. But we do want a little bend in the knees. And then you just stand up tall. Yeah. And then again with form with your deadlift, we should again have that tuck in our chin. Think about being long through the back of the neck. What we don't want to see is your neck up like this, right? Because what happens is then we start to kind of engage our core less and our shoulders start to go forward. We want to think about that wide collarbone, that flat back. Again, with those older people, they don't know how to do those. And then this happens. And now my low back just hurts. Yeah. Bench press, we know what that is, right? So we're laying down on our chest, got those goal post arms. So we're going to tap the weights together over the chest. I think we're familiar with that. Push up, you guys know what a push up is. Pull up, we know what that is. Yeah. Good way to incorporate pull-ups here is you can do those on the TRX. With this infinity bar, we can kind of do that same type of motion with the foot bar at the back of the reformer, where you're laying down on your back and you can kind of pull yourself up so that your chin goes towards that bar. Has everyone done that before?
But keep in mind with this, like everything's horizontal and like a pull-up is vertical. So
yeah,
it's
but
definitely
it's still hitting that same type of
similar.
muscle. It's like
Yeah.
a similar type of thing. That would be a fun way to kind of do a sculpty type of move in our Pilates class. And you can do a pull-up type of movement, like I had you guys do today. Did anyone have my sculpt today? No. Well, where you're laying on the box on your belly, and you can have them walk up the frame, grab the risers, and then doing kind of a pull-up or like a row variation. So it's not really a pull-up, but it hits all those same muscles, and you can call it a pull-up. So that's a way to kind of incorporate like these type of compound movements more in a Pilates class. Lunges, you guys know what those are. Overhead press, we know what that is. That's kind of when you were doing your thrusters, you did that narrow press, right? Rows, we know what that is, right? So we would have that hinge at the hips. We'd have one weight here. We would squeeze that weight kind of towards our hip crease. The elbow goes past you, and then straighten. Dips, that would be like a tricep dip. People hate these, but they're very good for you. So you can sit on the edge of the carriage, walk your feet off, bend your elbows, dip down, and press back up. These are awesome as a transition in a sculpt class. So like I talked about kind of using that thruster as a transition, if it was more upper body focused month or something, or your class was upper body focused, you could say sit on the edge of your carriage, and we're going to move into those tricep dips as a transition. That would be a great one. And then step ups. I love to do step ups when it's our hip month. And actually, I just think those are great. For active aging class, it's challenging because it is balance focused, but step ups are so good for old people because they need to be able to go up steps without falling over, right? So I love step ups. You can do those on the carriage just with your foot here. You could bring it up to a high bar just so they like had a little bit more guidance, or they could hold a pole in this hand and just step up and go down. And this would be a good way to incorporate that eccentric movement too. Like if you stepped up fast and then went down really, really slow, which is very challenging. So that's a good one. And I wrote on here like what all those muscles engage for those compound movements. You can go over that later if you want to. What I wanted to show you was just basically using those as a transition. Another one that I love is doing, I'm gonna move that up, or I'll come over here, is doing a Bulgarian split squat as a transition. So I did that in my classes last month because it was leg month. So I hate them. But they're so good for you, and everyone hates them too, but I promise they're good. So you want to take like a really big step away from your reformer, and then we let one foot kind of come to the edge. And it feels like you're too far away, but you need to be far away, right? And then weights are here. and you're going to bend both knees. Think about driving your back knee to the floor and then come up. And if you're more tall, then that's going to be more quad focused, or you can hinge forward and do it. And now it's more glute focused. So that's a really good one to include for Sculpt as like a transition move too. So I just wanted to show you guys those ways to incorporate those compound movements as a transition. So you can still do those even though it's like not on the reformer. Like Shauna was saying, have them come off the reformer, stand on the floor, and then back on the reformer. Like most of your class should be on the reformer, but including those to kind of move around the room is good. Yeah. Does anyone have questions about those things? Everyone comfortable performing those movements? Yeah. These are things that I would have people get the heavy weights for. That's why I told you guys to grab those heavy weights. Like, you know, doing a squat with 3 pounds, we're not really doing anything. I'd rather you just have do body weight squats, honestly. So I encourage people to get heavy weights for a Sculpt class, or if they need 2 sets of weights, then that's great. Like I have a lot of clients that come to my classes and just get 2 sets anyway, because they just know I'm going to have them do something like that. So I think encourage people to get the 8s or the 10s.
The 10s, they seem scary because it's the heaviest in here. But when you go to the gym,
10 pounds.
10 pounds is like the starting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Something fun is at the Bear Canyon location, we are getting bala beams. Does everyone know what that is?
It's like a barbell.
It's like a barbell, essentially. They're 35 pounds. And we're going to use those a lot for the Sculpt classes over there. So that's going to be something that's really fun to use for squats, for deadlifts, like things like that, rows. So that would be a good way to incorporate those heavier weights. Yeah. Good?
Is this mine or yours?
That's you.
Oh, that's me. So we already kind of did this. I gave us some like examples. So this would be like our supine cluster. We did footwork bridge. We did a superset. And then I would even throw in abs right after, because then it's all on one spring setting, one body position laying on your back. And then quad cluster. So this one, could give you an example of a drop set. So if you guys want to go to one blue and then come onto all fours facing back toward the mirror. I've done this in my class before, but go ahead and grab both of your straps. I gave you the blue just to be nice. We could always do this on a red too. So grab both straps, but you're going to be on all fours. So hands and knees, but you just kind of have the straps ready. And then you want to slide your knees back so they're under the hips. Now we're just going to start at like 3, but you could start at like 6 or 8 or whatever. So with your right arm, you're going to sweep it back and up 3 times. So that's your lat pull. And then after 3 on the right side, you're then going to do 3 on the left side. And then after you do 3 on the left side, we're going to drop a set. So then you're going to do 2 and 2. Does that make sense? And in a group class, I'd probably start at like 5 or 6. And then and then you'd go 1 and 1, right? And then right after that, we're going to put your right foot in the strap, and you can hang up your left strap. So then we're moving right into sweeps, and you can hang that leg off to the side, and you're going to sweep the leg straight back and up. So we would keep the same body position, the same spring setting, right? But we just went from upper body to lower body. And then you would go into donkey kicks next. So then you can bend and press. And we're just doing a few. And then after that, you're going to hang up the strap, and we go right into planks. So before we do the other side, we kind of do a little transition in the middle, and we're going to plank in the middle. Yep. And then I put in those crouching tigers or shoulder taps or hand, elbow, elbow, all those kind of gym planks. And then to get people off their hands and knees for a second, I'm going to have you straddle the reformer facing back. So we're still like same body position, and you're going to hinge forward. You're going to stand up in a squat and then toss the carriage off. Carriage toss. Yep. And then after that, you can come up, and then, we could do a few more things, right? Like you can add more, and then we do everything on the other side as far as the donkey kicks and stuff goes. But so there's no need to change springs. We're facing back, minimal transition, maximum efficiency. Yeah. And then we can do that with a lunge cluster. We're just kind of running out of time, so I don't want to keep you guys too long, but you do have the notes, so you can also go through all of this. So I'm going to skip some of these clusters. I'm going to go over this real quick. So When planning your class, look for opportunities to group 3 to 5 exercises that share the same body orientation. So whether you're supine, prone, seated, standing, sideline, quadruped, whatever that is, use the same equipment, progress logically in terms of challenge or target area. And then this strategy improves your flow and makes the experience more smoother for your clients, especially in a group setting or when working with beginners who get overwhelmed by constant repositioning. I think that can help with new people as well. And then if you want help designing classes, like don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always here too. If you have any questions, like even if you're designing a class and you're like, well, what could go next? I'd love, reach out to me or Tiana and we can give you feedback. So short box flow, this one I would call like a 90-degree flow. And that's sort of what Tiana was already talking about, where we would like have a short box and we're in a starting position facing toward the back of the reformer. And then we rotate 90 degrees, rotate 90, rotate 90, and you're going to create a whole flow. And then we could do our pyramid flow, which we just sort of did right now, where you're working the right side of the body, and then you do something in the middle, and then you work the left side of the body. That kind of breaks it up, especially if you're on all fours. Clients get a little fussy about like being on the wrists and the knees for too long. So if you could work one side of the body and then give them kind of a break in the middle and then do the other side, I think that that's like a nice way to break up the class. But you can use these templates to like create a class even. And then a long box flow, which we were just sort of doing, like you could do that whole drop set to leg pull on the long box. And I would just keep in mind that's going to add an element of height on the moving surface. So being down low, like how we were, was just a little more like the surface is bigger, there's less height to fall from, like if anybody falls. But okay, I think that was kind of it. Did you have anything? I just wanted to speed it up there at the end because I know we were kind of going and some of it was repetitive, but did you have anything else to add?
That's good, yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
As far as like using like props and stuff like that, is there something that like you would stay away from or like?
Not necessarily. Yeah, I mean, I think you can use props in any class. Sometimes if it's not like thoughtfully planned, it can seem like a little bit messy to me when I'm taking a class. Like if there's too many props, I'm like, oh man, like there was like, I don't know. It was like too many.
A good rule of thumb, like 2 prop max probably.
Especially when you're first learning. Yeah, and consider the weights a prop. Like for a sculpt class, if you can use weights, like incorporate them through the whole class, I'd say do that. Like, say we just did your 4-point kneeling drop set and then you had a weight, we could do some rows right there too with the weight, how Tiana was talking about.
Good thing to think about too is like for sculpt, like yes, it's gym vibes. So like we think weights a lot. It can also be like more jumping hit style stuff too. So maybe instead of those thrusters, we step off to the side of the reformer and I'm having them do jump squats, right? Or if somebody doesn't want to jump, then they just come up to a calf raise at the top. But that's another way that you can make like gym vibes without weights. Like if you wanted to just move faster and get the heart rate up, a little more cardio focused, that's still sculpt, even though it's not weight stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you could do like a jumping lunge, you could do jumping squats, you could do jumping jacks. It doesn't have to be like fancy. Like just hit the basics. Yeah.
I think the basics are the best, honestly. They're like the most effective. But yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
I've never had an instructor use the top thingy, so is that just a preference or is there like a reason you don't use the top little hook thing?
Oh,
like a high spring?
Makes it heavier.
Oh yeah, it's a high. Does everyone know what a high spring is? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you can make it heavier. So yeah, I've done it occasionally. I think we just change springs or something. Yeah, I don't know why we don't really use that very often.
I actually used it today when you said 2 reds for bridge. I gave myself a high spring.
Yeah. So a good thing for you guys to know. Like if you want it to be heavy, like if you do all footwork on all the springs and it doesn't feel heavy for you, maybe you put 2 of those reds on a high red and it's heavier. Or like if someone's kind of in between something, like you could do a red and like a high yellow instead of like a red and a blue. Like that might be a little bit less or something like that. So you can use it. Yeah, that's
Sometimes
fine.
it's too many words to like
Yeah,
say.
I'm just like fast. Like in, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
But
a lot
in
of
your
times
practice,
I'll put guys on a high spring. Because I want it to be heavier for them. You're usually stronger. So like Tanner takes my classes a lot. He's gone now, but I would always say like, Tanner, I want you on high red. Like, and he just knows. So I use
but
that a lot
also
for,
you go to the
male
gym,
clients.
like you could do high reds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
But
some of
I
our
like
gym
to use that for
girlies.
male clients.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you're doing like you're laying on your side and you have your foot in the strap and you're doing sweeps forward and back, like at some point you're gonna plateau with like just the red, right? So like put the yellow on or do a high red.
Yeah, high red. Like, yeah, you could do a high red, and then if that's becoming easy, then you could do red and yellow.
Yeah. That's ways to progressive. Yeah, good question. Anything else? Yeah, go.
I guess it's not really pertaining to like school, but in our classes when we have like the monthly meetings,
Mhm.
how many series of like an exercise that goes with like our monthly
At least one.
I designed my whole class around the theme.
Yeah.
But I would say two. Like probably two is good.
At least.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, bridge is a posture exercise.
Yeah.
We bridge
I mean,
like in every
really,
class.
everything's posture.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, I would say at least two. That's me.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever you're like planking, that's posture. You could be like, we're planking, that's good for your posture because, like, you know, you're working your upper back and your core and you're like everything. Yeah, but I definitely say like get people on their belly, like tummy time at least once. Yeah, and then like rows are posture. One quick thing I want you to do actually is sit facing back toward the mirror and put on a red and a blue, just real quick. Last minute, and then grab your straps. Small straps, and then give me some low rows, like pull your elbows in and then release. And I put you guys on like a heavy spring, but add another red because I think we can. Yeah, and then go straight legs between. Yeah, and then you can like scoot your butt all the way back because we're not going to do any. And then how does that feel? Okay. Can we add another red or a yellow if you're like good but you're like want the 2.5? Can we row on 4? Oh, how's that? Okay. Yeah. What about all 5? I'm just messing with you now. But hey, it's not bad, right? But because the arms are close to your body, I think if you go to high row, it's going to be a little different, but still doable. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and you can maybe go back down to like 2 reds and a blue. And then I want you guys to like bend your knees so you're seated like this, and then rest your elbow on your knee, and then do a bicep curl. Because you know when you go to the gym, like your elbow's stable. Like this is just a way. And whenever we do bicep curl like this, I just feel my shoulders because like our arms are up. So you're still like getting that, but this is just another way. And then you can rest. And we could probably add more if you wanted. But that's just one way to like make it heavy. But you have to be on your butt. Like we can't be kneeling because then it's. I mean, you want to try it? Try it, Kate. No. I mean, you just have to. I mean, bro, it just like yanks you in real quick, right?
Yeah, you have to be slow.
You gotta go like slow,
Yeah.
huh? Okay. I just wouldn't do that in a group class though. Like I don't know. I think on your butt's just fine. So yeah, what's up? Yeah.
Have you guys ever considered having like full or tone flow as a prereq to full or tone?
Yeah.
Even just one.
We've thought.
I feel like
Yes.
sometimes when people come and they're like, oh, they don't look good next class or intermediate class, and then they're kind of lost.
It's just people don't read. I
Yeah.
think nobody reads.
That's the thing. It does say that. I think people don't read the class description. What I would recommend, because it happens to all of us, unfortunately. Say that it's an intermediate class
At the
like
beginning.
during footwork.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Like and then sometimes you'll see them be like, oh, like, you know, or sometimes people are like, I can take an intermediate class. I work out. Yeah. And that's like
It's
not
just
really
different.
point. It's just like this equipment works differently than probably what they're used to. Like the concepts are different. So there's just a lot to like understand before you get to more of an intermediate level. Because if you had in your class pan, like what Kate was doing where she's on her knees and you're doing some rows, like that's something that would probably require a lot more cueing on your part for someone that's a beginner. Because if you didn't cue it or give them more setup, then they'll fall forward or like fall through the reformer, right? So yeah, we've thought about it. I think the thing is that what's good about our studio is that we don't have like leveled classes. So we try to have that like multi-level and give different options. So if we start to add prerequisites to everything, then really it's like a level 1, level 2, level 3. So
it's so many places in the website and stuff, and even in the emails, it like reminds everyone. I know. I would say,
like over accommodate, but sometimes they're like, I just,
yeah, people they gotta at some point they gotta like take accountability too. Yeah, I think like people gotta take accountability, and like in the Pilates world, I think there's this like idea that we have to like hold everybody's hand a whole bunch, and it's like no, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to learn, and we gotta promote autonomy and like empower them, give them options. So I think that that's good.
Sometimes if it was like a class where they really struggled because they booked the wrong one, I'll just make sure to check in with them after class and be like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, this was an intermediate class. I just kind of threw you in. If you want something with a little bit slower pace, a little bit more information, come to a flow next time. Come 10 minutes early. I'd love to give you more description. And then, yeah, which you probably already do, but it's just a good thing to say. Yeah, I agree. It is annoying. It just requires more work on our part. Yeah.
The dark side of teaching.
Yeah.
So, okay. Any other questions? Or was this helpful? Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You guys have the notes. I'll share with anybody who wasn't here because I think that's very valuable for them too.
Yeah.
And then we'll pass out wipes and put everything back. And yeah, thank you all for coming.
And I would say next time you write your sculpt class, move faster, load harder.